opportunity for Despacito to go. The Illusory Rift is popping. It doesn't stop Corlin from being slowed down. Ninim getting aggressive here because he has to in the Illusory Rift. It's not enough to keep this pressure from Marcus M from being a ton. But he's getting they're both getting so much healing, and Marcus ends up coming out on top nonetheless. It takes a very long time for that little 1v1 to happen, so I think that does a good job slowing Despacito down for the respawns to come through.
Corlin incredibly low, Enlightenment going to come through, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive or find a kill. So he gets pushed out right there. Overtime's still ticking, but respawn proximity is going to be the big question mark for Despacito. Can they put enough pressure with Zombie getting low? All it takes is one more hit, and Rhino's going to find it.
There it is. Joel and Rhino, the front line, manages to finally put their foot down and grab a couple of these kills. And with that, it's only Inara left on this objective. As she falls, the round comes to an end. 3-2 for Kanga Esports. Some big ultimates going into the next round as well, but the Inflames have been good. Karis Ray has just been better. These quick burst combos onto the squishy backline of Kanga have been just too hard to deal with.
I need to see a different approach to the fight from Kanga. I feel like that has been the biggest issue, is you're still going for the same area, and you can't really give up the high ground. But at the same time, every single time they've rushed into it, especially when Inflame is available on the other side, it doesn't go well. Like you said, just burst from the Cassie is enough on its own, let alone the fact that there's a Shaolin and a Barrack still going to be shooting at you. And Furia, with her ult, does a good chunk of damage as well. Ninim, Corlin, Chronix aren't going to be able to withstand that kind of onslaught for long, and even Joel's and Rhino are going to be kind of taking a brunt of the damage. They have to figure out how to approach this a little better, and I think Assert Dominance is a good first step. That
is a good start. Mr. Flexi is going to die. He'll be the sacrificial lamb. Beautiful Ice Storm in the back, just to distract, I think, just to buy some time. Ninim finds the first blood as well as dropping a critical Ice Storm. It separates Despacito 2 from Kakacho and makes Inara an easier target than she has been all game long.
And it was a completely different approach from him, right? He didn't go directly in like he had been the entire time. They would see him blinking in the first time around. This time goes in, drops the ult, still ends up going down. But like you said, it separates Despacito, a much more impactful ult than we've seen out of him. That's 63% and rising right now for Kanga, as long as they can hold it. But Joel's is getting a little bit in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, expends most of his shield energy to absorb that planet down to the objective. Likely to drop a dome shield, and there it is. It's going to be 6 seconds of uncontested time on the objective. Joel still falling lower and lower. He is under pressure. He needs some health and fast. This is where Despacito 2 can come back. They just have the better point frontline fight.
Being able to dash around, get those shields, but there's going to be Mr. Flexi going around. Kakacho's incredibly low. All you have to do is kill him.
Wow, beautiful.
And if you get Marcus like that, you're going to be set perfectly. Although Inara is full health once again, 84% is a big number. You have a lot of room to play with.
Corlin. Finally, he was 2-7 going into this round, but he just hits the gas pedal. Corlin hits an incredible enlightenment to start that fight. Rolls through, lands all of his burst damage onto Shaolin under pressure. Hits Cassie in traffic as well. Corlin just took the reins and took over this fight to give Kanga the chance that they have now. The last couple of kills come through, and that does it. Kanga Esports take the set 2-0.
Still undefeated. Despacito 2 take their first loss now of the PGS.
Wow.
But Kanga, it's getting closer and closer every single time. And you can see, like, if Corlin doesn't step up that round, I have a strong feeling like that point never goes back to Kanga. That is a third point and potentially a push for Despacito 2.
Well, they stepped up when it mattered most. A lot of people from Kanga all across the board. Let's head to the standings. Talk a little bit about how everything has shaken out. Kanga, of course, they grab the win. They're going to be 3-0 when it's all said and done. Despacito 2 will be 2-1. This was their first loss they took. Trident Esports grabbed the win over Pantheon, pushing them to 0-3. Symmetry still here in the standings for Kanga and the boys of OCE. That does it for Oceania. And now, my friends, it is about that time to take that break. This time, I'm not trolling. This time, it's for real. We're going to have a quick little break as we get everything switched over for the North American broadcast. Thank you guys for riding along with us so far, though. My name has been Pretty Hair. That's Gore Miser. We're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back with North America.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back after the quick break. We saw OCE and now in PGS, the Paladins Global Series. It is time to go ahead and venture into North America. I know some of you have been staying up late for it. Some of you have just been kind of waking up for it. We're going to cast it along. Rain Day and Pretty Air here. How has it been looking? North America is not a region you've been able to cover over the last couple of weeks, right?
Not really, yeah. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Given how OCE went, both of the regions are going to have that sort of battle for the top, right? Somebody's getting another day, but you got the battle for the bottom as well. And honestly, at the end of the day, that Kanga Despacito set was not exciting as the Trodden Pantheon set.
Yeah.
I mean, that battle for the bottom was a lot more exciting, I think, in my eyes. And, you know, they were impressive, right? I say battle for the bottom, but, like, they were both doing things that were very calculated, very coordinated. And it was just the star players, I think, going back and forth, trading hands a little bit. Both teams had incredible moments, and I think guys that stepped up big today, Trodden Esports, just a little bit better. Compositionally, I think they got their comp to a better spot to succeed.
That's a big deal. I mean, that's where I think Na'Vi usually has the edge over teams like Mouse Sports or things that Virtus Pro, NIP, where we see NIP just make some smarter decisions draft-wise, and it just puts the match out of reach eventually. But and Big Egos, the top two teams going to be facing off here. So will we see basically a battle of giants? What we've seen so far is the first set has been better than the second as far as North America, OCE. And even yesterday in Europe, we're able to see, you know, some of these underdogs, underrated specifically, take the victory over the first place team. That was something that I think no one expected. And, you know, I think that we're going to see that more. It seems like it's setting up for a really exciting day.
I think teams might just be, maybe it's watching more PPO, it's practicing a little bit harder, maybe taking it more seriously in general. And that's kind of what you hope for as the scene matures a little bit.
Right.
Because when we're watching that Despacito 2 game versus Kanga, it was on Serpent Beach, that second game. And I'm watching it, and I just cut Gore off, and I'm like, this is literally Mouse Na'Vi. Like, the same thing is happening here. You had Kanga with the aggressive front. They took, you know, Na'Vi's high ground every single time. And Despacito Dude was doing a good job staying on the ropes. Lazy or Kakacho on Anara was just sitting on the objective. He'd get his 50, 60% before he died. And I was like, this is crazy how it's like, it's almost like they're doing their homework on each other. They're all really trying to get better.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, OCE blends. I don't know which style they pull from. I don't think it's constant. I think Europe clearly in the PGS pulls from Europe in the PPL, and I think that North America pulls from NA, but NA does enough of a variance where you see the top team like pull out a Snow Globe Eevee and no one else in the region will do that, to where there isn't as much of a standard kind of formation to march to that we've seen in Europe. We should be able to have the maps coming up here, Ba and Big Egos facing off 2-0, both of these teams in weeks 1 and week G2 thus far, finding wins, and now we'll see who takes the L. Someone's got to take it. Someone's got to hold it.
You know, and then just on that topic of NA, when you've got G2 sort of leading the way, it's no surprise, I think, that there's no real identity there for NA. Andro is going to be the first ban. Incredible performance from him in the Trident Pantheon set. Really, really impressive stuff from him, even without the Torval, even without anything really at base to enable him. He had the Furia and Flame sometimes, right? That was really not a big part of his game. It's
weird how Andro and Torval came out in the same meta as far as 1.4, getting buffs essentially, and those were two that fit kind of in a pod together. But unfortunately, I don't think, at least for Torvald's sake, that, as you mentioned, Andro needs him. I think he came out for his own reason, not just because of his synergy for Torvald. That punch distance is huge. And Ba, and clearly teams in Europe are willing to sacrifice a first pick in order to do so, and we're seeing that open up here. Koga should be available, but I don't think we've seen this play out in any way in North America or Europe where he's being prioritized.
So Inara, Leon, Willow, Torvald as well, high priority stuff still available. And just that delicate dance between Willow, Leon, and they're sort of just as effective against Inara as I feel like they are against each other. It's all about the healing and the anti-healing between those three champions.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, too. I felt that this is the big conversation, the Willow, the Inara, and then the Furia. That was the big conversation, I think, as far as what worked well for NIP and what didn't work well for Virtus Pro. But this time, we're seeing Big Egos go for the Leon. How do you feel about not taking the Furia there?
I think with so much on the table right now in terms of the anti-heal, which support you get might be honestly a comfort thing for your individual support player. Whatever he wants is maybe what you end up going for. How important Furia is to him.
Swift Spirits, you gotta remember that, what he brings.
Love it. And Ashe today has been a really big factor. I have to say, people are maybe figuring her out a little bit more.
Yeah, Damba also just kind of ignored the other day as well. I think Solar Blessings, the upkeep is so hard to deal with. And the big thing for me is the Willow now and the Furia on the same side. They have this amount of healing that's decently deal-withable. That's a new phrase that we're coming up with here. But I think it's not something that you can't get over, especially with a Maldamba Inara. It's a great pairing, probably the best pairing, but you can still late game deal with it. And that's what Ba are in a great position to do here with the Ruckus filling in. How do you feel about him?
I think it's good when you have a good target to just jump down onto. Leon, as long as you're aware of her ultimate, it can be easy. Kinessa, without a way to slow her down or cripple her or anything, and Ruckus doesn't have the burst to blow her up before a transport's going to come out.
Right.
As well as he is a big, slow-moving target. And if Kinessa's playing right, he's not getting to her with full HP.
That's true, and I think, Leon as well. Leon can punish a Ruckus who's out of position, but I think it's who gets the pressure first. And this lineup doesn't necessarily look like a lineup that's going to apply as much pressure maybe forward in the Vanguard style, the front part of the fight, as an Ashe Inara might, especially with the Swift Spirits backing up that Inara. But you don't know. Is he running Mother's Grace? We've seen that kind of jump up in the hierarchy. But, we've seen Treacherous Ground on this map specifically. It covers just so much of this very wide point. Locking down someone, it could be an easy kill.
And again, against the Ruckus, it might have a little bit more viability. Aerial advance isn't really the go-to nowadays, but just locking him down, he's here to jump on someone and just to kill them right before you can kill him. And, he's got about 7,000 effective HP with his shield in play. So the better you can do at slowing that down, the less effective he's going to be. And there's just going to be this massive gap in the draft where this Ruckus should be filling.
He's very good, I think, if you look at the Ashe and Ruckus. That's a pairing, and I think that's a duo that we may see come to fruition a little bit more against one another, actually. Where Ruckus, especially on maps like Ascension Peak, which we see more often now, takes that right side. Ashe on the other opposite side takes the left side, the little high balcony that can face the Ascension Peak point fight, but is kind of only where those two people who are on the high balcony are fighting each other. Ruckus and Ashe both have good control. I think I'd give that matchup to Ruckus early, because I think that the ability for him to break down the shields and apply the burst to Ashe puts him in a great position to win. I don't think she can overcome that, but I don't know. Ashe is very, very good against most champions.
100% just comes down to how well the Ashe dances around her own shield, right? If she's not dancing around the shield effectively, she's going to 100% lose that. And even if she does, later in the game, most Ruckuses don't go for the Wrecker, but that's where it's going to be effective, right? Maybe Ruckus goes to, I'm going to go to this side of the shield,
right?
Force you to come through, and then who on my team is back there, right? Does it get any easier for you on that side of the shield?
Right. As far as a Shepherd, though, maybe Ruckus wins the offensive battle, but defensively, potentially,
100%.
I think Ash gets that one. And I think by and large, most people would assume that Ash would be there. So if they go with a pair, that's the real question, what Ba and Big Egos will do. Are they going to go with a pair and send like they would a Khan Bomb King? Will they send a Ruckus paired off with maybe the Willow? Will we see, maybe Niju roll with Watkins there? A lot of these players just been making names for themselves in the PGS and throughout their entire time in Paladins, and it's starting to come to fruition here.
3.
Pretty much standard talent selection.
Oh, Fortress Breaker.
And so
I think we just saw this. Kanga ran this. Rhino was like the point man, essentially, on this peak.
Yeah, here it is.
So he may not be looking to bruise too much or just using this. Oh, he's got the new skin as well. Looking real clean.
Just played with this last night. Had a video pop this morning.
So sick.
It's so good. And Ash needed that skin. She hasn't had one since the
Ronin.
Yeah, the Ronin Ash. So it's great to see that. And here it is. Look at this. Just the defensive mechanics. And he's rolling with the Leon. It is such a dangerous pair. Bagel Wow and Kresnik, the only advantage they have right now is the Solar Blessing. But Jalen Sanity's focusing on them. He's using his Kindle Soul for El Zulu on the point. And he's using that Solar Blessing for the Ruckus. It's interesting.
75-0 too. So you gotta say, are definitely taking the W here. First blood though will go to Big Egos. And it's about damn time. They don't have much time to spare. They grab on the objective just to start the overtime, but it's already such an uphill battle.
Right, and you can look at this too. I mean, you've got Death and Taxes where you have the Cauterize applied. You've got Ruckus and you've got this Cassie who's also applying Cauterize with the kinetics, but then you've also got this Ruckus who's just weighing her down. And we saw towards the beginning of that fight, Ash kind of actually had the lead, but because the healing was there, it just ended up being Ruckus and those miniguns. 200 ammo is no joke. That thing does not stop firing, and eventually you start to lose that trade.
I wonder what happens if you give up that balcony. I mean, who from Ba is so
fight from below it?
Concerned about sitting on that? I mean, it just maybe collapse onto the objective. From that balcony, you don't really have good line of sight on the point. There's that whole side of the room, the far side over by the cliff, where you can sort of just fight out of line of sight, I feel. I don't know. That needs to be swapped up.
I think, do you need both? That's the other thing I would say. Can Ash do that by herself? Can you send Leon somewhere else and maybe contribute to the point fight? Because that clearly, there was not enough pressure on El Zulu. That did not go well. And then you're picking a Nightshade Willow, which is great, but maybe that burst could be contributed. Maybe throw the Willow over there. And again, playing without ultimates in round 1 usually is the case, so round 2 should be a different story, especially when Ash has her Assert Dominance to play into and Ruckus has the Hexafire. Ash starts to win that trade in that situation. Oh, never mind.
Assert Dominance just barely onto the objective in time. And I wonder if the flag, because I saw the VFX, did she go under it a little bit too much on that ramp?
I mean,
I think she went under it.
There's really, that's really the only thing she could, the only other way is that she got disengaged. She got disengaged slightly or just displaced slightly away. But yeah, I don't know. It did look like that.
Close, but no cigar there. Kresnik almost gets locked down. But letting all these people just barely escape. William shrugs off the seedling damage. Solar Blessing comes through, but it's a little bit off the mark, I think, for El Zulu, who I have to imagine was the intended target there. Either way, it's going to be a little bit of a slowdown here for Big Egos on the defense. They get some time to talk about how can we hold this? What are we going to work with? What are we comfortable spending? Because right now, Ba have 3 ultimates to the Big Egos 1.
And the Solar Blessing resets working, but it just was so close. Not quite fast enough. Goes away, and El Zulu goes away into the night as well. Kresnik on a 6 streak, piloting this Ruckus quite effectively, I would say, and dealing with Watkins.
Yeah.
9, 8.
But here's the thing. I mean, Edgem is still one of those players that you have to watch out for, and I just wonder, we've watched this Ruckus Ash battle so much, who is dealing with that sniper?
No one really, because he's not really demanding anyone deal with it. I don't feel like he's been super effective, and Ascension Peak can be hard. There's not a ton of line of sights to play with, especially when your enemy team is smart, and they just stay away from you. Bursted down up on the high ground. Big wow and Kresnik.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunate stuff there. Envy finding a little bit of effectiveness down the stretch, and it's a 2-0 lead for Buh.
And that's what we see with these great teams. It's about execution, really. I mean, the timing of that is what makes them win. They go right at the perfect angle where they get a little bit of pressure, and then they all commit, and then all that pressure that they thought, oh, this might happen, they're taking it a little slow. Immortal from El Zulu, they think they have a kill, and boom, Envy shows up. Great round from Buh.
1-1-1, 1-4-2 here. Everyone either negative or even for big egos. And the biggest change, I think, it needs to come up on that high ground, right? That was too many people, I think, to spend there. Watkins, if he can hold that 2v1 by himself, because either way, they're not getting a kill. 2v1 or 2v2, no kills are happening up there, especially against Solar Blessing. So maybe Niju just relocates to be a little bit more effective.
And we'll see where Envy goes, because he has his ultimate out. Again, ultimates are in play. Everyone except Fernando and Ash have theirs currently, and now the reveal will come through. They know where Edgem is. Envy focusing on the left side. There's a Hexafire. Ash eventually lands, so she's going to stay alive, and now this battle starts to turn. Edgem finds one, and Watkins finds another. That's great stuff for Big Egos. They've got 4 alive, and now the only one left is the Fernando, who's basically just holding his shield for, I don't know, what's inevitable.
Wow. That shield goes right up and right back down. Edgem gets very aggressive. It pays off, finding big shots, 2 in a row on a Willow. You can maybe call that target. They don't have anyone that's really great at going to clean that up. Ash would probably be the best candidate, but I don't think she was anywhere near follow-up range. A lot of ultimates used there, but a couple still on the table.
And here's the Inflame. That's what you don't want to hear on the side of Big Egos. They're all backing up. They give the respect, but is this too much respect? I mean, they completely backed up. Do you want to just stay there, maybe poke a little bit? They could still take damage. And now Watkins is very, very low. I mean, the entirety of Big Egos just literally gave that point up.
Still sitting on the Headhunter as well, and maybe you could have used that clear sign of aggression is coming to pop
counter
the Headhunter, and you know they're gonna just kind of like ding-dong their way onto the objective because they think they're invincible right now.
Right.
Inflame provides no utility, no defensive measures whatsoever. It is a completely offensive ultimate. So they are just as squishy as they were before. I know it's scary. They got big wings. They do more damage.
Yeah, they look cool.
But a Canesta with Headhunter is going to be doing just as much, if not more.
Yeah, that was a questionable one. I think you look back at it and you say, we should have done something. We gave that up way too easily.
Game's almost over, Evan.
Yeah, it's 3-0.
Headhunter is a fast-charging ultimate.
Yeah.
Especially when you're top damage in the game.
And there's no reason why, especially with the way it went. There was no contest. They hoped William could get back. Maybe that's what made them say, back up, back up. They said, maybe we'll bet on our front line getting back, but it just didn't end up happening, and they backed off, and the point was won. 1 minute and 40 seconds now. And 8 minutes gone by, about 7 minutes in game time. And Envy holding down this corner, but Edgem is going to expect this yet again, so he's going to keep an eye out on that left flank.
Shooting shields here, but I'd love to see a Headhunter come out at some point today. El Zulu will fall. 4v5. Defender's advantage. They're really close to their spawn. Surging forward, but they surge forward into a Hexafire. I like that positioning there. It's almost like a snake in the grass style of Hexafire there from Kresnik.
I mean, Kresnik saving the round here. I mean, saving the push. I mean, he has Envy, who's so low, and Edgem maybe has to take an extra second. All this adds up, because then you get Watkins who can't find the kill. Edgem has to rotate over, and maybe the positioning gets a little bit more uncomfortable. Maybe they stay aggressive, but at the wrong time. All these things start to blend. Butterfly effect, so to speak, on Ascension Peak here in Paladins. Still 40 seconds left for the push. El Zulu looks to take the right side instead, and Kresnik just hiding around, waiting for the Fury to heal him up to full before he starts to push. She might be missing the slug shot here, to be honest.
Maybe a little bit. Zulu, he's got a shield. He's under pressure from all sides, and a perfectly timed. There's a small moment of vulnerability there during the Fernando moonwalk shield slide thing.
Yeah.
William finds it, but then he goes down to Kresnik. 15 seconds remaining. Third commentator letting us know. State of the game. Edgem finds an angle onto Bagel Wow. It's a 4v4, but again, Respawn's so in favor of Big Egos.
Good headshots there. Now he uses the Headhunter onto the Ruckus. Interesting. Can't find the kill on anything, so that Headhunter goes pretty much without any value.
Worst nightmare.
This is exactly what you didn't want to see as the Kinessa. Both front lines still there and the Furia, which means they have infinite lives as long as that Solar Blessing keeps coming through.
And that's the hard part about it. No kills, a lot of damage, but it just doesn't matter when Solar Blessing is in play. Bago out finds the first kill. Kresnik is committing to the backline. Inflame is here as well. Everyone's just ignoring Ash, Evan. There's no space being bought. This accomplishes nothing except contesting.
And there's the Dread Serpent. They've used it all, and now Watkins is by himself. It's a full wipe from Big Egos. And Ba take game 1 pretty convincingly on Ascension Peak.
That's the way I feel in Ascension Peak goes. It just feels like one team just knows what they're doing.
And the other is...
not lost, but definitely...
Trying to catch up, playing catch up.
Absolutely, just on the back foot the majority of the game. And the 4-0 scoreline would definitely indicate that.
It's weird, North America, especially with the top 2 teams, you would assume has a very competitive, at least game 1, or at least a competitive set. This could end next game. Let's take a look at the maps. For those who stayed up watching, or those who have been just interested, this is a little bit of a surprise to see the 4-0. And now the Stone Keep map. This is where Edgem brought out the Koga last week. And he said that he was practicing this week to bring something special out for the viewers. I don't know if we'll see a Koga again. Maybe we'll see it,
Smells
maybe
like it
reimagined. I hope so, because they definitely need something to, I guess, inspire their play now that they are backs against the walls.
And with Torvald floating around unbanned in this set, it could be a nice thing that they look to use to cover the weaknesses that Bugsy was sort of highlighting on Twitter. Potential.
I mean, Big Egos opt for the second. Well, this actually might just be Buzz map. Big Egos, whose map is this? I wonder if we could figure this out, because the first 2 maps are the maps that you choose. So this is Buzz map. They get the first pick. So last map was Big Egos map. That's rough.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
And it's the Khan Koga. I think this is Edgem. Well, it's not locked in. It's the Torvald. So, still no Koga, but Khan Torvald.
That smells like foreshadowing.
But that's a scary, scary sight to see as a frontliner. And this is Buzz map, so can Big Egos basically do it away from home?
Our Willow here, so Leon, still an important part of the anti-heal game.
That's an early Vivian.
It certainly is, but there is a lot of shielding going on here for Big Egos.
I mean, it's Torvald. You know, Con Shield is a thing, but just to buy a little bit of time before the battle shouts up or the heal comes through. Sapper rounds kind of into this new build we've seen with Vivian, where she heals off of the shield's done. You see that Fernando, you see that Makoa, sure. And I guess in the 1v1s, it's going to make sense. They grab the Cassie and the Damba, which seems to be the preference for Big Egos. They gave up the Furia yet again.
Hard to kill lineup with a lot of damage for Buh. It's going to be hard to get to that Willow, especially with a Vivian.
There he is.
Holding it down.
Or not.
There he is.
Yeah.
Anime dad.
Some mother flipping Koga this morning. I'm excited.
I am too. I mean, he's got the lineup. This is the lineup to succeed with, right? I mean, if he doesn't succeed here, it's going to be, setting a bit of a precedent, I think. You've got everything you could ask for.
You've got Inara and you've got Vivian, 2 great champions that cannot move out of your ultimate no matter how hard they try. And that's one of the harder things. If you have to chase someone, it doesn't move that slow. The invulnerability and the movement speed of it are rather lessened, but it does hit above you a little bit. So some high ground, as long as line of sight isn't broken, is still vulnerable to being taken down by Koga. The big thing and the big question is, can Koga avoid using that ultimate in a bad decision? Edgem has run it, and of course it begs the question, has he changed his loadout? Has he continued to try to go for some agility healing? And it is still Wind's Embrace. Although he has taken, I believe he has taken some points out of raw talent and actually put them into wanted and harsh training.
Raw talent.
And I think he changed the card out as well, if I'm not mistaken, that gave him some jump height. But I don't know.
Was he Master of Arms?
He was Master of Arms, yes.
All right.
Well, here's the Torvald bubble. This is pretty good.
Yeah. He's got a lot of damage to work with, but running out of energy pretty quickly there. And I mean, this is Willow's wheelhouse, baby. I don't care who you are. That is not the situation to fight a Willow in.
No, and look at this. Master of Arms. Edgem shows us who's the master here of Stone Keep. Jalen Sanity now facing the ire of the newest champion in Paladins. And look at this. Bagowow running away. But the problem with the build, it's that it is very harsh. You don't have any energy to shadow step away from things like that because you're using it all on agility mid-fight.
Tried to wall climb there, but just didn't grab on that wall. There's so much to learn from for Koga, where he can move, the routes he can take, because any wall is pathable terrain for this guy. And then you can just pop dashes to cover the horizontal that you need. He's really got a lot of mobility to work with here. Nishu on Cassie, doing a good job juggling the Sonara around. A lot of pressure being put on, but Solar Blessing just erases it all.
The only thing I don't like about this for Big Egos is the fact that they have Inara, Furia, and Willow on their team. It's usually get those as counters, right? And again, the fact that Edgem is going into this kind of like harsh training, agility-based Koga, which I think is his weakest ability in general, augmenting that to me seems like the strangest thing to do, but we keep seeing players do it. Edgem's one of the only ones who gives us a glimpse of Koga at this level. And so mad respect for taking the risks. But look, Vega Wow is happy for those risks to be taken. Just not on his team as he grabs the triple kill, helping out Envy, who actually gets the killing blows for that.
Man, oh man. Good start there for Envy. A lot of shield damage coming through. Let's take a look at this loadout. Vivian's gone a couple of different ways. She's got some movement speed cards that have been poking their heads out. You mentioned the lifesteal off of shields. Scapegoat was one card I looked at and I was like, man, that's going to be super strong. But it definitely did not have, like, it was not like the catch-all card that everyone was using. But it's good to see it poke its head out a little bit as well.
It's interesting. He's kind of running a little bit of the Master of Arms Vivian here. Unchecked Ambition is a card that we saw very early. Vivian has one of the largest clips of ammo as far as effective firing time, where she is continuing to shoot her bullets. It's much less than Ruckus, but it feels like it lasts just as long for her to empty a clip. The bullets hit very hard, and she has a chance, 36% by the way, with only a level 3, to not use ammo on it. So you would imagine that her and Ruckus bearing down the right side of this map going to be pretty impossible to push away. And there's that ultimate we're talking about. Edgem with a double kill, and now the Inara can't get away. El Zulu could be in trouble. I just love to see him. He doesn't need the help. Just save it for the dashes, my friend. Just be a little bit safer. And there it is, Edgem with essentially 4 out of the 5 in this fight.
Kognara up in here. If you pay attention to that healing indicator down by his bar.
Yes.
The Swift Spirits, man, they're ticking for 105 every single tick when he is firing his SMGs. A lot of healing coming through.
Thanks to Trigger Happy.
It's very committal, right? You have to be able to do that. And even with the Torval bubbles, I think, you know, Bar doing a good job at not being too scared of it, right? They're realizing that we have what we need to go through this shielding and sustain when it comes to it.
Well, you know what? I think Koga seems to be played in this lineup the way that Big Egos have kind of thought about it, to be really assimilated with a team, to have a Khan, to have a Maldamba, use the Trigger Happy Minting Spirits. I think that's going to be part of it. But I kind of look at Koga the way that I look at Zen, to where Zen is actually a really good champion at getting a little bit of assistance, but kind of doing his own thing, getting into the back line, making things happen. And I think that's where ultimately we may see Koga start to land, where you do hit him with a Mending Spirits, or he does go for something that's a little bit more sustaining. Right now, I haven't really seen Edgem be successful when he's been isolated by himself.
Well, he's got a great target here just to shred through, and he's going to be difficult to track. He's like Ruckus that can move, essentially, right now. Ruckus is having a difficult time, and has he even reloaded this fight? He might have to. Nope. Nope. He tracks it all down. Edgem, very efficient with his tracking and ammo usage.
Yes.
I mean, he can really run away with the fight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The way that they're going about it, which I like too, and to give credence to what they've worked on, is that when he wins so huge. It's a very big snowball, one of the biggest we've seen, and it just doesn't end because of the Master of Arms talent. So in many ways, I like their style. I'm curious to see if it continues to be this effective, because it didn't win them the point fight.
It's like Tyra, but fun to watch.
Tyra's fun to watch.
I think he runs away with a fight a lot more theatrically.
It's like Tyra with a... Yeah, you're right.
Crossfire all the time.
Tyra's fun, but I think Koga's, by far, more fun to watch. He's one of the most fun champions to watch in general, man.
Yeah. Flanks, baby.
Flanks. And look at that. Just super confident. I think you go to the back line, use your ult.
Be careful here. They got kind of crushed in this opening fight. Here comes the Hexifier as well.
Here it is.
Edgem's going to squeak his way to the back line, see what he can do.
I like it.
His best targets are the big, fat ones. And it's funny because, that's just not how most flankers are going to operate.
And look at this. He's getting the healing. He's getting the damage. He needs some help.
Ooh.
Oh, wasn't quick on the dash or the ultimate. Either of those could have saved him, and he had energy. And he had his ult available. So Big Wow just with a better timing on his damage and stays alive. This was actually who Edgen was trying to go for in the beginning of the fight.
Great salvage there. Cassie hitting the shots. Need you. One more will do it. He gets her done. Edgem's rotating back in now as well.
Nice.
done his job stopping the fire of Ruckus. Did it actually flush him all the way off the high ground there? Envy, deflector shield is down. The Sentinels go up.
Yeah.
But he dies immediately.
It essentially, even though that was a beautiful value talent, the Dread Serpent essentially didn't just flush Ruckus out, it saved the life of Niju. And Niju, despite Edgen doing so well, we have to talk about the secondary damage dealer. Niju is a great player, known for his blasters, but he needs to make sure that this Cassie continues to be felt as far as her impact in this game. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That was far.
Maybe a little amp there from the loadout cards. 99% and capture the disengage.
Yeah.
Securing the objective there for Nijo. And I want to take a look at the loadout. Is this being amped by loadout cards, or is this just that combustible thing where sometimes it's just what the?
That's right. That's what it is. I don't know why, dude. Sometimes, and maybe it's like getting disengaged off of a ledge, so you get the sliding jump mechanic or the sliding ledge mechanic or something like that through getting pushed. Like, that's the only thing, because I've had that moment with Cassie. I've said, she's got to be augmenting that. That's huge.
Like, look at that one on a Ruckus.
Yeah, nothing happened.
I mean,
does he have some resilience cards? I mean, we can take a look at Ruckus's cards as well and see maybe he's got some resilience cards in there.
I don't think he has any of those at base. It's normally like the fat boys. Maybe he hit bonked his head or something, but
items maybe.
Sometimes with disengage, sometimes with combustible, the knockback just seems absolutely huge. The overpowers have not been glorious, but it's just the sacrificial lamb style where you just got to hold up an enemy team member.
You gotta say, this is a strategy of drafting that North America have employed more so than Europe, where they let all the threats available instead of letting basically no threats and then working with a limited drafting pool. They say, we'll leave everything open, need you. That roll almost killed him. It in fact did. The payload card got in the way. What are you doing there, payload card? Need you saying, as he goes back to base and thinks about his life decisions.
Let's look at the damage here for young Koga. He's had a lot of uptime, but none of the numbers are very big. And despite all the glitz, all the glamour, all the attention, it's Niju who is absolutely crushing everyone on the damage charts. Edgem's got plenty of easy breezy targets to get himself through. And firing, it increases his healing even if he's not hitting anyone, right? So he can just use this to amp up any of the healing coming into him right now. Beautifully played.
Yep, as long as he's firing those submachine guns, Trigger Happy is giving him 50% increased healing, and that's why you're seeing probably Master of Arms prioritized, because you're going to get healed in a competitive environment, and you can expect that from your support, and that just means that you're always getting this uptime because your ammo is consistently there versus Adrenaline Junkie, which just gives you more energy.
I mean, even if it has to get ugly and he just has to lay into an Inara wall,
right?
If he has just to keep his ammo up while he fires, he's going to be buying a lot of time. He's going to be receiving so much healing that it's going to take a lot longer to kill him. He can go into Rejuvenate and late game just be basically uncauterizable.
Right.
And Rejuvenate plus this 50%, if any of that makes it through uncauterized, oh my goodness, he is just going to explode back to full HP.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's a threat. And that's why I think of him as Zen, where, by the way, 15,000 damage in the last, 10 seconds that we saw him.
That's pretty funny.
So, this is what I like. This draft from Big Egos is all just about, let's make Koga a huge threat and let him do his thing to where Niju gets a lot of free space. I mean, if we look at the KDAs, we might have just seen him, but I wasn't paying attention to him. Look at Niju. He's died 3 times.
That's what you got to talk about.
No one's paying attention to him.
He's gone.
He's top damage.
Completely uncontested. Everyone is so focused on this Koga, not letting him run away with the fight, that they forget about Cassie. That's what she does, though, baby.
Do
she
it.
runs away with it.
Got the flutter.
The ultimate.
No!
Everyone
Just kill her.
Gets the Willow. Kresnik gets pushed out as well.
He got greedy, man. He got greedy. He wanted all of them. You know you're using that because she fluttered. There's no way to get out. And then you finally get the Willow, but because of your hesitance, you don't have the ability to get out of that fight. I think that was just Edgen getting a little greedy. Wanted the highlight play, and unfortunately, for Butt, it doesn't actually hurt them too much as Big Ego's still in control.
I don't know if that was worth it for Kresnik to die there. I mean, they have comeback mechanics, so suiciding onto the objective for more capture is, if there's ever a time to do it, is when comeback
That's when,
mechanic is
yeah.
in play. But it's only 27% that they get. And now he's going to be pretty late to this fight.
Right.
Arrived now. The wall goes up. The contest is here. We'll see if it's enough.
See, look at that. Nightshade. That's supposed to be doing all that anti-healing, right? Dead zone, but Khan is fine. He used that on Edgem. And so again, we'll see. This is what happens with Nightshade Willows. It's the damage, but you're not getting that anti-heal that you so care about. And T-Mac's just like, fine, let me just heal up my Khan nice and easy. William355 says, while you're looking at the Cassie, the Khan, the Koga, trying to get my support, I'm just going to be Torvald, bubbling everyone and hyper-beaming you off the point. It seems like Big Egos had this one figured out for sure. A couple of more threats on their side that they knew what to do with. It's a tied ball game heading into Game 3.
Flashy. Edgem. Loved it. Enjoyed it. Need you. Rock solid. I mean, you can't say enough about a Cassie that without the attention of all of her supports and front lines, everyone making sure she's successful to go on and actually be successful to the tune of like 30k damage as well as a better KD.
Not easy. Not easy at all. But let's see what they can do in Game 3. Will this just be a one-hit wonder? Or will they continue to dominate? It's always good to go into the Game 3 with some momentum, especially on a momentous map where when you win, you kind of win big, such as Frog Isle.
I mean, these two teams crush each other on each other's maps, but now it's time to get in the loser's pick. So, what do you got for us on Frog Isle?
Well, everyone's lost their pick.
I don't know if it's,
in this set.
I don't know if it's going to be a way to recover from that.
Totally different drafting style, by the way. The 3 champions that played some of the biggest impact in that last game are all banned now.
Gonzo.
Which is more European, which is what I was trying to say earlier on. And I think that's the thing. When you let all those threats through, you don't have anyone to blame but yourself, because you're like, well, I mean, we didn't ban anybody. We just wanted to out. And I mean, the lineup bug got Willow and Nara Fury. I mean, I feel like I pretty much won most drafts in that case.
Wow, that's a real early pip.
It was an early Vivian.
A guy
too.
that's been a way to deal with an R that we haven't seen. Most people have been relying on just anti-heal from Death and Taxes and from Dead Zone, but why you can't heal what's dead? So try that chicken.
Blast Shields is looking like a lot of value for me, Nick, on Big Egos. I don't know. I got Fernando, Scorch Fireball, Pip, and Drogos. That seems like pretty easy to mitigate some of that damage. And Big Egos go for the Kinessa. Not as much of a risk on Frog Isle. Definitely a standard pick. Snipers here on this map work well. But that's got to be Edgem, so I wouldn't expect any funny business with the Koga here.
Scope for scope, though. Strix on the other end. And for me, the matchup becomes pretty simple at that point, right? Whatever sniper dies has a real sort of fish in a barrel situation in front of them. But the Ash, man, that's what I think is going to be a really good way to get consistent pressure onto the Strix.
Yeah.
Man,
that's the matchup.
I like Big Ego's lineup here, I gotta say.
I think Buzz is really dangerous. I mean, you talk about the little things that Pip brings, but what he brings so much is he brings a Dragon Punch, essentially. I mean, he turns you into a chicken. You basically kill those chickens for free. Any coordinated team like this. And they also have an actual Dragon Punch, which, ultimate-wise, I have to give it to Ba. If Ash can execute, not as easily done as it is said, I think Big Egos can take this.
What I think Inara, and maybe this is why Pip has fallen off a little bit in terms of a counter to Inara, people have gotten so good at listening for the voice line like Evil Mojo and just seismic crashing it and becoming CC immune.
Yeah.
Watkins goes for the Fortress Breaker as well. Pretty standard talent selections here. Unauthorized use as well as Mega Potion. Those are really the ones you want to focus on. Jalen Sandy is going to be the main healer, the solo healer Pip. It was there for a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably in the back pocket.
He could do it. He hasn't even changed his deck. I mean, still working with the same deck. He's going to get the resets off of reload. I think he's saving that, actually. I don't think he wants to give it to Beowao. He's saying, Beowao, just hang off. He gets his own out-of-combat healing. And so far, so good. Niju finds Envy on the side of Ba, and now Big Ego is able to push forward. It seems like the Cassie has been making such a big difference, and you would expect this whole point fight to just be lost here. As a result, he catches him jumping and hits him with the full blast shot combo. Is that bad luck?
Oh, man. And then another one into the turret, bounces it off.
It is.
And the 100 splash damage that made it through was enough to kill El Zulu. 60% for Big Egos on the objective. Not a lost cause for Ba. They grabbed 39 before they got displaced. That fireball is going to connect. Fernando, if he does make it back to the objective, he's not going to be very healthy.
And Niju really piloting this Impulse Cassie. There are two things going on here. Cassie, I think, a sleeper, but a big top damage and a big impact. Died so little last game and stayed aggressive. And also the fact that we just see big egos having a relatively hard draft, I think, to execute as far as just like the Ashe making value. But it's again, with the Cassie now being this effective, it's working. They have 3 threats they've got to deal with. I don't know if Ba are equipped to do so.
All right, try to get it in Fernando's face here. Throws up an okay wall to prevent retreat, but Kresnik, excuse me, doesn't have any intentions of actually retreating. Watkins manages to get himself in, but then right back out. The Inflame is going to be a little bit of that cause, but I don't like those types of plays when it feels like no one's on the same page, and then he does go back in and just kind of get smoked. It's like, ooh, there was real lack, I think, of unity there from Big Egos.
That is my biggest thing that disrupts like my immersion in seeing Ashe. I just think about like decisions. You have to just train yourself to just not take those fights. There's no, you don't have to go up to the barrack in that situation. Just stay far away. Watkins is even at this point a little too close. You can be by that edge and just kind of like go and peek around that left side. I think I like this much more from him, and El Zulu still trying to get an angle, and Watkins just wanting to wait it out, get some full health before engaging again.
Needs you getting juggled up in the air. Kresnik just moves in for the assassination. And Envy as well.
Wow.
Kills. Watkins bows out. And Edgem's low HP. I have to imagine that came from Strix. I mean, he was in a really safe spot.
Right.
The old sniper whack-a-mole here as they just continue to jump up and over these walls just to look for the trick shots.
Yeah, and I mean, shouts to Bagel Wow for the switch up, mostly on supports. Had to, like you said last week, have a last-minute switch up onto the DPS, but he did well, and obviously this team's undefeated, so they keep him on that, and so far so good. Definitely challenging to play against a guy who just kind of loves maining snipers and things like that, like Edgem, but he is holding his own, that is for sure.
15 seconds remaining.
Damn good shots here. Plenty of vision from the flare as well. Heads to the pistol, and Nara's a tough target to get through, but if that's all you got to shoot, do your thing.
That's Earthen Guard for you as well, 900 damage headshot. And this kind of looks at the end there like a comeback mechanic victory for Big Egos. They really couldn't push that thing. Once Envy started to get going and once Niju
they had that weird fight where it was like, all right, I'm going out. Inflame, back in. Oh, wait, no one's here. I died. It's like that. They never recovered from that. So they were kind of owning up until that point. That clip was right before that awkward fight happened. Slashline's about equalized here. Niju 4-2 again, the star of the show, the belle of the ball.
Edgem 0-2 notably. And Jalen Sanity 2-0-2 has not died. So if we look at the healing numbers, we might see that he's actually doing quite well as far as the sustain and keeping up with the Furia. The Solar Blessing, I mean, Mega Potion Pip, only 18,000, 19,000 behind. And round one with an Inara before Cauterize get built up, I mean, that's
you expect
not bad.
Yeah, you expect that Solar Blessing with the Rejuvenara is too much. Too much to mess with. That shield just got deleted there. Nara struggling on the objective. Solar Blessing's on cooldown as well. Watkins with a beautiful space buying assert dominance, but someone's got to follow it up.
Just back off. I mean, and Kresnik didn't want to use the Immortal. I think he wanted to save it. They wanted to back off. I mean, they only got 21% off of this. It's no comeback mechanic. They'll have time, especially to take advantage of this zone and get some pressure. They have the pit mojo. Oh, but that's the problem. Bagel Wow just gets caught out by Niju and the pressure from Big Egos.
Edgem teed it up.
Here it is.
Niju knocked it out of the park. Here comes the Dragon Punch. He might run out of steam.
That was rough.
And that's the balance. When you fire it from such a safe spot, you might run out of fuel before it's time to go. And Nara slayed out by the evil mojo. That's the take-back potential of young Pipster. There's a big Solar Blessing beam buying some time for Edgem to land big shots. He doesn't even need his ultimate this time around. It's all good, but it's still even trades for Ba.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens. The Drogos makes a smart call and says, I can't get the Dragon Punch, but I will stay alive. And his damage helps to snowball that fight against the Inara. He's the one who can quickly take down the Stone Warden, if that's even possible. Misses that fire spit and that shot, which is unfortunate because he's giving everyone position to get back. But at this point, because they have to pay attention to the point, he can do things like that. And he does. He finds Niju with the damage over time.
Here comes the beam, though. Watkins has to catch it.
He misses it.
It's going to miss. That needs to be a thing that supports and frontlines just practice for like an hour a day. Just catching beams, making the call out. T-Mac pops his head up. And it gets popped off. 99 and 99. No healer, though, for Big Egos. They are going to run out of sustain.
I guess it makes sense to say wow, because Bagel Wow is hitting some shots that are blowing me away. 99 to 99. Need you on the point, battling with Envy as well. Both snipers are here. Bagel Wow gets onto the objective. He's got the stealth. And he's just got the positions. He finishes them off with the pistol and the flare, just to let everybody know that he's on the objective. And it's Bah who take the lead.
You gotta be kidding me with that. I mean, Edgem even goes for the hero play, but silent and undetected. Bagel Wow sneaks in for the high value play and scoops.
I loved everything about it, and Bagel Wow carried that fight with some huge headshots, finishing off, I think, the early Edgem. And then when Edgem came back, finds enough damage to force him into a question mark. Then ends up getting Niju himself.
Says, I've already killed you once.
Yes.
I'm going to embarrass you this time.
Yeah, it was a really nice matchup, and Envy staying alive until that very last moment where Bagel had to touch the point was huge, and so commendable on letting go of the Dragon Punch for the bigger picture.
Wow, a lot of damage comes through at the same time. Blows Niju up. Edgem eats a fireball as well. He doesn't get much healing because of the brand. Heads to the backline again. Gets his heal when it's all said and done.
Oh, man.
Watkins is going to do his best. He's got the Inflame as well as the Assert Dominance out. And the Solar Blessing, that looked like it should have hit.
Is it not?
Or maybe because she's an immune target.
No, she wasn't. She was taking damage during that. So, again, we're seeing him on these really weird platforms where he jumps up, but the flag goes to the ground or something like that. And he's not. It's super weird, man. But Watkins has had a couple of them where they've been a little awkward.
Ooh.
And Bagel Wow now finds Niju. I like
Kresnik sprays.
I like Buzz lineup with pressure, to be honest. And we also saw the Dragon Punch and the Evil Mojo work in round 2 so much more effectively. I mean, they cover each other. If you miss the Dragon Punch, Evil Mojo and Nara's dead that way.
Spit looking like it could get some value here. Knocks Watkins away. 35 seconds on the clock. No one catches the beam again. That's a big hole in the draft right now. Big Egos, if they're not making use of Furious talent, why pick it?
I mean, that's the problem with the talent, in my opinion, as well. It's high risk, high reward. There's no better way to describe it. Envy knows he's under fire, can't go around because of the line of sight, just tries to use the cart to body block. They've got 15 seconds. I think El Zulu wisely doesn't need to push this any farther, because if he does, he's going to be behind that rock where Bagel Wow can't support him. Niju going with the aggressive play, and that will at least get rid of the sniper.
These guys spray each other a lot. You can definitely tell there is some competitiveness here in this set. North America's always kind of been that way.
Yeah.
A lot of smack talk on Twitter, Discord, things like that. These guys really, really take pride in being the top of the PGS.
That was crazy.
Because how much it's meant for a lot of those guys that, you know, they used to play around with Rock and Rubu, and a lot of those guys now go on to have great careers in PPL, and they want to be next. They want to be noticed. They want to be loud.
Grizzled, 50 health. Incredible card. Just kidding. It's a nice little touch-up, though. Roos giving him the damage reduction. Maybe that was the difference.
They're the best, though.
Those moments that he stayed alive.
4.
Flare XL and Overburn, pretty standard in the Strix loadout. And a little bit of extra ammo.
Flare XL card art's kind of funny to me. That little bandit camp being revealed. They're so taken aback.
Yeah, that was close. That was close. He almost got knocked off. Combustible almost sent Niju into the depths. That's a dome shield. It's good for Bagel Wow to fight through. Oh, and that is a very strong flashbang, and it's actually going to help Envy find Niju there in the corner. So Cassie ends up dying just through the Drogos in a different way.
1,200. Down on the Watkins again. He just hasn't been able to get on Bagel Wow.
What?
A big headshot jumping there, narrowly misses the next follow-up shot there. Watkins gets some pressure on this Strix. Somebody's got to stop this man.
Who's going to anticipate the jump up, which is what Bagel Wow did onto Edgem, and Edgem is just getting out-traded here. Headshots. Niju's the only one who can really save this, but he gets hit by unauthorized use. He's revealed and he's taking damage over time. This is another kill after he tries to play aggressive. This is a very important moment to manage. 48%. They have one front line on the side of Ba and El Zulu, but he's slowly getting pressured out. And how many risks are Big Wow going to take? He hits one shot. If he hits another, it is. Edgem goes down, and now they might be able to apply some pressure.
I mean, Edgem's getting worked over at this point. Bagel Wow is just ping-ponging his way up. Neither sniper's really under pressure either, so it's not like Edgem's job is a lot harder than what Bagel Wow is being dealt. Here comes a couple of ultimates. The end one gets shut down. The damage is good. The flare connects as well. I mean, everything is going Bagel's way.
I mean, this is truly a Bagel Wow moment. This wow moment sponsored by Bagel Wow. I am just in awe, and I'm impressed. And part of me says, how does he know he's there? And then I'm like, unauthorized use, duh. So good on this map. So impactful for him and his team. It's a team-wide reveal, so no one is doing anything sneaky on the side of Big Egos. And Ba, wow, kind of take this one by storm for me.
The flare goes out again. So much vision.
They didn't even use an Evil Mojo.
Big Ego's got the scout. They might be looking to spearhead their attempt here with that in hand. Dragon Punch is coming up as well. Dome Shield was available, but I think Zulu got knocked off the map there because he was very healthy up until the moment that he died.
That was a good combustible fire spin. I like the patience, just wanting to wait and see, okay, they're probably going to push now. Maybe he gets a full heal, and so now maybe slow to react there, maybe worried about Edgem. But Watkins is doing a great job of holding down this left side. Oh, has to reload though, but it's enough. Edgem with the double kill. And I think that's where they're finding the trouble, Nick. On the point fight, they can keep a hold of Edgem, but on the defense, it's been very, very hard to stop the damage that he's able to output.
It's easy to play that wall spot where every sniper plays basically 60% of the time on this map in particular. It's how do you transition, and the snipers fall off in effectiveness up until the home stretch, so they really need their team to get them to the next base, so to speak, where they can set up and they can have a line of sight to work with. Right now, it's kind of awkward for both Edgem and for Bagel Wow.
Well, I mean, Bagel Wow just is really keeping tabs on Edgem, and that's the Inflame. Furious going into it. T-Mac, he knows this is a very precarious situation. Luckily, Edgem trades out. That's a 4v5. That's now a 3v5. And you would assume El Zulu kind of sacrificing himself with a little bit of help from Niju, that they're going to reset fully. Big Egos. One more defense is probably enough to go ahead and put it to another round.
And I don't foresee many ultimates being popped here. It feels like...
Why would you risk it?
40, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a worthwhile risk. The defense point on the table for Big Egos likely to be seized as well. Fire Spit comes up over the top.
Niju's got to be having some tumble. He barely moved off of that. In his loadout, I wonder how much he's got. He actually doesn't, so again, a combustible just hits you for nothing. Might have been at the edge of the range.
15 seconds remaining.
Shield goes up.
That was big.
Niju will go down, and here's the defining moment, right? Do Ba smell enough of an opportunity here, or do they feel confident about themselves to, at some point, be like, all right, you know, if we do pop ults here, we will end the game?
Honestly, I think if you kill Edgem, and then you kill T-Mac, yeah, I think so. The only thing you have to worry about is that assert dominance from Ash. Maybe you could pop something like a flashbang, make it seem like you're going for the finish, and then all of a sudden, let them use their ultimates in response. So you get a better round or you get a better finish. Watkins falls. Good. Combustible here. Williams dead. Both tanks down. Kresnik's still alive. I don't know, Nick, but it looks like this is over for Big Egos. Ba ready to clean this one up and take first place in the PGS for North America.
There it is. They dunk it home, and that's a cool moment. We talked about how do they smell enough of an opportunity here, and that just lets you know that this is a team that is confident enough in themselves to change a plan on the fly when an opportunity presents itself.
Also, don't pick a map in the PGS. We see that they pretty much always get won by the other team. It's, again, Ba winning the enemy's map, so nobody can win their own map.
Don't pick a map.
Yeah, don't pick a map. Just...
What map do you guys want?
Auto queue. Hey, that auto queue works for the champions. Why can't it work for the maps?
Just queue up, blind pick up a PGS game.
Why can't it work for the maps?
It's
just give them one of those shoulder shrugs there. I know it's digital, talking through Discord, but just give them a shoulder shrug. They'll get it. It changes your voice. We got to head into the next set, though, because the PGS is not over here for North America. Not in the least bit. It's actually got a lot more fireworks to be had. Hyso-Fluorex.
That's a name.
That's a name. Is it a chemical?
It's a made-up chemical. It's a realmical.
It's a realmical. Wow. So the realm doesn't have chemicals? It doesn't operate?
Came from Brightmarsh.
Does it even have oxygen? Brewed. Really? Oh, Isoflorix, one of Pip's potions. Okay, well, that starts to make sense. Let's take a look at map number 1 because we have those ready for you in your viewing delight. It is Ferocity banning out Jaguar Falls and Isoflorix, the Realmical, banning out Ascension Peak.
So is this Samurai a Joe Bro joint?
I think so.
I just wonder how he picks it, right?
Well,
who thinks of a Samurai after